All right, we'll call the meeting to order, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome, everybody. Roll call, Mr. Lundberg.
Oh.
Yes.
Odie. Yes. Saxer. Scott.
Yes.
Bill.
With that, if there are no changes that need to be made to the agenda, I would take a motion to approve that as presented, please.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Next, conflict of interest disclosure waiver request.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have an item to disclose this evening. My wife, Amanda Larson, who has worked in the capacity as a long-term substitute nurse at Fred Assam and Inspiration Elementary, is on this agenda. Recommendation to hire from Principal Foster and Principal Palmer. Would just disclose that Amanda is my spouse. She's being hired in accordance to the hiring schedules outlined in the classified handbook. I will have no dealings in terms of personnel evaluation and or issues with her, but want to put out there that that does exist.
Any further questions on the waiver? With that, I would entertain a motion that states the request for waiver was authorized because the terms of the contract are fair and reasonable and not contrary to the public interest, such that a waiver should be granted.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Community input? I don't believe there is any tonight, so that takes us to general business oral reports, and we have a good news report from Brandon Valley Middle School.
Well done. Hi, my name is Anna Stamba, and I am a special education teacher and the Tier 2 teacher at the Brandon Valley Middle School. It is my esteemed privilege to address you today on the importance of emotional and mental regulation needs in our schools. I am here to talk about the importance of regulating and providing emotional and mental help to students who exhibit challenging behaviors before they are expected to complete the expectations of their same-aged, regulated peers. We all know the students face a different set of challenges every day, and for some, these challenges can be overwhelming, leading to problematic behavior in the classroom. As you are aware, disruptions and misbehaviors in the classroom are a critical concern for both educators and parents. Though it would be easy to assume that setting expectations and enforcing discipline will solve the problem, it is not always the optimal approach for every student. As educators, it is our responsibility to provide a safe and supportive learning environment for all students. Every person that has gone through a teacher education course has been ingrained with the message, Maslow before Bloom. It essentially means that students need to be emotionally and mentally well before we can expect them to learn. 98% of our students come to school ready to learn. Students who fall into the category of the other 2% are often our students that suffer from trauma, anxiety, depression, profound ADHD, and other mental health-related situations.
We want you to think about your initial reaction when you got your can of soda. Just like students, was it delivered gently and intentionally with care? Will it act as expected when you open it? Do you know if you got one that was shaken right before it was delivered? Will it have an outburst, so to speak? Or are you unsure of which can you got and what may happen?
In order to address the root cause of the issues, we need to prioritize providing our students with tools to regulate their emotions and manage their mental states. By neglecting these fundamental requirements, we are merely putting Band-Aids on the wounds that require more care and attention. If a student is not regulated because they are dealing with a triggering factor or a lagging skill, it often comes off as a behavior in the classroom. Many times we are quick to send students who exhibit behaviors to the principal, label them as difficult or disruptive, and punish them, causing a spiral effect which leads to falling behind academically and socially. Students cannot learn if they are responding within their brainstem. Tier 2 supports students to move through their brain functions to regulate, relate, and move to reasoning and ultimately learning. By having an intervention system for students who we know already exhibit behaviors routinely, we can teach the lagging skills in those students and reduce the number of referrals and alternative placements and increase the number of emotionally and academically intelligent students in our district.
Data during this pilot shows a 60% reduction in referrals from last year to first semester for current 7th and 8th graders in the Tier 2 program. When comparing the 21-22 school year until now, we see an 80% reduction. 5 students have returned successfully from alternative placement, and over 40 students have already registered for our PSI or Positive Student Interaction class for next year.
Tier 2 behavior prevention and intervention services support the emotional and regulatory growth of students as they exhibit needs. This year, at the Brandon Valley Middle School, we have been able to provide a safe space to regulate, educate on managing anxiety, triggers, stressors, etc., and teach preventative measures to avoid behaviors and coping skills to utilize in the classroom and beyond. I urge the board to take into account the importance of emotional and mental regulation needs and commit to incorporating these aspects into our education system. As the saying goes, you cannot pour from an empty cup, and it is imperative that we fill our students' cups with the emotional and mental tools that they need. A focus on regulation and emotional intelligence allows us to approach learning with compassion and mindfulness. We can acknowledge the challenges we face and support each other in finding ways to overcome them. When we prioritize regulation, we also model healthy behaviors that can carry over into our personal and professional lives beyond school. In summary, let us create a culture of support, understanding, and kindness that fosters growth, not just academically, but also emotionally and mentally. Let's create an environment where all students and staff have the tools to lead, learn, and serve.
Hello, my name is Ray. I am a current Tier 2 student at BVMS. I am grateful for this opportunity for students like me to come back to a public school setting. This program helped me with my mindset and made me more social. Many students in my situation want to be in school to be challenged academically and grow socially. BVMS and Tier 2 provide support for students to do exactly that. Thank you for your time and your dedication to promoting a bright future for our students.
Other than just thank you so much for all that you do. We know that it's a lot. Thank you for coming, sweetheart. We appreciate all that you put in tonight. Thank you very much. We know that it's a lot. I work a lot with SAMHSA, so all that the efforts that you guys put forth are not gone amiss. I think that as a community, they ask a lot of questions on what we provide, so I don't think that they know it a lot, so we appreciate that you brought that forth tonight. Thank you.
I would just note, hats off to Dr. Nelson. When she originally asked and came forward, and we had some ESSER funds available, and we implemented that Tier 2 support system originally, and now that continues. So certainly appreciate all her effort and work in the Tier 2 area, and it is certainly a program that as we look at and evaluate, it's a push down, grow up type of program that we can evaluate here over the course of the next few years. So hats off to Dr. Nelson, as well as all of her staff there at the middle school, and specifically, great job, Ray. I told you you'd be the most popular person in the room, and you most certainly were. So, well done.
Be anxious to see where you head in your life and watch you grow and see you across that stage. So thank you very much for everything you do. All right, that takes us to administration reports. Superintendent Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just have a couple of items for the board here this evening. No change in terms of Navigator Pipeline. We continue to monitor that quasi-judicial process. Budget process is something you've seen every meeting since December. We're working through that respective process tonight. You'll approve capital outlay, the preliminary capital outlay budget. Again, that's necessary for those major items that we bid, and we'll talk a little bit about that here a little bit later, but you'll get a preliminary budget presentation in May, and the public budget hearing will be held in July. Timeline and wage recommendations. We're moving into that process here tonight. We'll have executive session to prepare for our upcoming meeting with personnel welfare and the BVA, and then we also have additional dates scheduled beyond the Wednesday date if necessary. It is possible that we will look to ratify the master contract on Tuesday, April 11th at our next regularly scheduled board meeting. That's a reminder. Tuesday, April 11th is our next regularly scheduled board meeting. And then we'll also at that time bring forward the classified wage recommendation as well as the administration recommendations. Academic school calendar, would just note that there's no school this Friday for in-service. We have a 2-hour early dismissal on Thursday, April 6th, no school April 7th or the 10th for spring break. Graduation is set for Sunday, May 14th. There's no school on May 29th for Memorial Day, and June 1st is our students' last day. So no change to our student academic calendar with our last weather-related day. High school addition, there is no changes to the schedule, no changes to priorities. Would just run through a couple of quick high-level updates. So this is an Area A classroom. So when we talk about Area A, for those that are in the crowd, I would be referencing the furthest south portion of the new addition, so like towards the library. The first, whatever it is, 4 or 5 classrooms are Area A, and what we have is we have ceiling grid that's gone in, but now they're starting to put casework in. All of those respective items are going in Area A. This is an Area A science lab, and I was just going to note that what you see here is the casework, but then as we previously shared, there's going to be movable science lab stations. So the lab stations could either be pushed up against the casework so that you have like a lab table with the infrastructure, the gas, the water, all of those things for that science lab table, or they're going to be able to move them out and away from that respective area for small group work, et cetera. So excited to see the science labs come together. Area A restroom, so this is in the, in between the new addition, and then it was a former room, trying to remember the, 115, is that right? What is it? Thank you. 115, so we lost a classroom this school year, but that becomes a set of restrooms, so there will be a corridor that attaches our existing building to our new addition, and this is in that respective corridor. So tile work in progress. They're about to put fixtures in. So as you can see, it is very similar in terms of look to our most recent bathroom upgrades and installs. So similar to Inspiration Elementary, the middle school, the new restrooms in the middle school commons, et cetera. This is the clear story area in Area A. Those are the large windows to let that natural light in that elevated area. Painting going on in that respective area. So Area B, interior construction is in progress. So Area B is basically like the middle of that respective addition. They're getting their rough ends in place, and we expect to see sheetrock going in there anytime. May already be going up as of today. So sheetrock is an interior construction continue. Again, another shot where they're prepped up and ready for sheetrock. Area C, precast panels are being placed and masonry is in progress. So you can really see the exterior of the building starting to come together. Here's an image of them flying in the respective precasts. So that process continues on. I would also tell the Board of Education, very common. We've done a lot of precast construction here at the Brandon Valley School District, and in previous experience, my precast construction experience would tell me sometimes you're going to have a crack or a chunk out, and that stuff comes back, and they have expert technicians that do some of that final work in terms of finishing off that install. So if you happen to see a chip out or something like that, they have experts that come in and finish that product off. So all is moving well in terms of the precast installation. This is the, again, Area C. The precast panel and the masonry is in progress. With that, Madam Chair, would certainly entertain any questions that you may have. That's all I have this evening.
All right, thank you very much, Superintendent Larson. Board policy, we do not have any tonight, so that takes us to general business. Item number 1, to approve the 2023-2024 preliminary capital outlay budget.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would just note to the board, this is a critical piece of our budget planning process. The general flow of this is from the building level, flows to the central office level. Business Manager Lundberg compiles said requests. He vets said requests in addition to working through our operations manager in terms of the project or the items that are more timely and necessary than maybe one that can happen in a year or two. After that respective process, it gets kicked into my office for review and then ultimately brought to you, the Board of Education, for approval. There are always more requests and needs than available resources, but we work very hard to prioritize those respective requests and put forward the very best possible usage of capital outlay dollars that we have available to us. I would note one thing within this capital outlay budget that is relevant for you to know. Our intermediate school will move to a one-to-one atmosphere with Chromebooks, but what that does is that allows us to repurpose all of their respective laptop carts down to the elementary level. So we are reusing the technology that's still in its usable lifespan or usable window. But with that, I would certainly lean into Mr. Lundberg if he has any specific items that he wants to note and or comment, and then field questions from the board.
Any questions from anyone?
Very good.
All right,
Recommend approval.
then I would entertain a motion to approve the 2023-2024 preliminary capital outlay budget.
So move. Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Personnel, item number 1, approve request for general fund additional staffing. This is part 2 for the 2023-2024 school year.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So as previously shared, I needed a little more time to evaluate the elementary section sizes and the ability to manage some of those respective components prior to bringing the final portion of the staffing request. Within this staffing request, we have prioritized an EL teacher. That'll be advertised as K-12 EL, and then our special services director will work with the EL department and identify highest area of need, and that individual will be assigned to said building and or location. We have one elementary teacher, we have a custodian, and we have district maintenance. In addition to that, we have head girls wrestling and 2 middle school assistant coaches that we look to approve. Would note that the total amount on that comes to $280,000. Would certainly entertain any questions you have.
We're quiet tonight. Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the request for the general fund additional staffing part 2 for the 2023-2024 school year.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. I would entertain a motion to approve personnel items 2 through 24, please.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Items 25 through 31 are for information only. Takes us to communication. Under Board of Education, there is a thank you note there for your review. That takes us to our board reports, formal board reports. Does anyone have one that they would like to share tonight?
We'll start with building and grounds. First of all, for those of you viewing it and those here, the high school edition, as Jared's presented, the pictures and everything, it is right on track and everything is good to go there. Our next, as the district continues to grow, there's always going to be a need for elementary. And right now, we are dealing with the Berkman ground over east here, over northeast of the golf course, in which right now it's very preliminary, but we're putting in some preliminary sketches to accommodate K through 4. Also, there was some talk about early childhood, a wing as well. And we are going to expand, and it's going to be the footprint is going to be a little bit bigger, in which it will also accommodate a bus barn that'll hold 12 buses. 20 now, huh? Oh. They bought more buses. That's something, and what we feel is that the bids will be let out this coming November, in which the spring of next year at this time, construction will start on that piece of ground for this particular elementary. And hoping, with everything going according to plans, it will be open come August of '25. So if anybody has any other questions? Okay.
Any other reports?
Yes, the Student Activities, Curriculum, and Technology group met 4 o'clock this last Thursday. And I went through lots of different things. First of all, the assessments that are going to be coming up. Lots of different data-driven activities in the district, and all different kinds of tests to see where we're at. I continue to be impressed about how data-driven we are and how to find different ways to meet the needs of our students. In particular, we talked about the English language assessments and how, as our district grows and becomes more diverse, how do we deal with that? How do we incorporate students into our district more effectively and ensure they get the services they need? Also, school improvement plans. There were 2. I'm gonna get that wrong. There's a TSI, Targeted School Improvement Plan, at 2 places, at Brandon Elementary and at Inspiration Elementary, where we got working on a plan to get some students to school and improve, I want to say truancy, but that's not it. Attendance, thank you. Improve attendance, and so we're looking at that. We also got the funds to look at how to do that better, and all operate from the same playbook. So I think today, all the different schools in the area have different ways of trying to get kids involved, and get them to school, and so they can learn. We can teach them, and so we're trying to standardize that. And then we finished the session talking about special services, and it, again, very impressive that as we try to meet the needs of the students where they're at in our, and most effectively move them to where they need to be, the special services is really good at targeting the needs and working with all different resources in the community, at Teachwell, other places, to really find the best needs. Again, to meet the needs, whether they're English learners or special services, meet all the kids where they're at and bring them to the next level. So it was a really good discussion, and yeah, any questions?
No, thank you. And as far as the alternative ed, Teachwell just continues to keep doing what we're doing, keep growing and adding staff, and from where we were, I think about that 7 years ago, it's amazing. So if you ever get a chance to go down there, 1 or 2, or let Joan or Lisa know, so. All right.
Real quick, I just wanted to give a shout out to our Special Olympics team that went to state this weekend. They brought home the runner-up, the second title. So I think especially was the send-off that they had at the middle school, which was epic. I know my son came home, he's like, it was awesome. So he was even pumped up. So great job to Dr. Nelson and Mr. Rothenberger on setting that up, and just really sending those kids off with quite the send-off. And just, I think that pumped them up definitely and showed them the school spirit. So thank you for doing that. And congratulations to that team for bringing home second place.
Thank you. Anything else as far as reports tonight? All right. Travel reports, there are none, I don't believe. So that takes us to needing to go into executive session per South Dakota Codified Law 1-25-2.4 to discuss teacher contract negotiation preparations.
So moved.
Okay, it is 7:13, and we are out of executive session. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.